What's kindness? Our ancestors were bacteria. What's your standard of kindness? Because doesn't the thief think that he's allowed to live the way he wants?
No.
He does. That's why they have prisons. They do what they want.
I'm not justifying a thief.
I know you're not.
I'm not justifying
I'm
not justifying any of that.
I'm saying preach the gospel of agnosticism to him. Tell him why he should be good. Think about that.
I am trying to say
I'm listening.
that I believe in something. Okay.
I believe that's true, by the way. I do.
And I do believe that mankind has the ability, and not only the ability, but the drive to do the right thing.
What's the right thing?
Mankind drives for what you're talking about. Everything that if you could put all that and not put a name to it, the feeling, the actions, how you treat your fellow mankind.
How should we treat each other?
All that other stuff. With respect, with courtesy.
Why?
With love.
Excuse me.
Because we are driven to do that.
But what drives us? Our ancestors were bacteria.
What I'm going to do is...
That doesn't matter.
It does matter.
Yeah.
It could matter, yeah.
It does matter, because if that's our origins, then that's fundamentally what we are.
But why
There's no obligation to be good to one another.
I'm saying, why can't bacteria evolve into something great?
Because there's no standard of great in a godless universe of bacteria evolving into something that wasn't planned.
Why do things have to be planned?
Why
can't you have a beautiful flower just show up?
Because there's no beauty apart from God with a standard of beauty. There's no good apart from God with a absolute standard of good outside of yourself and your preferences. When you reject God, you lose beauty, truth, goodness, logic, science, reason, ethics. You give it all up. But the story...
It's funny because I have all of that.
Yes, you do.
You know what?
Yes, you do.
I have all of that.
Yes, you do.
And I have...
Because you're in the image of God.
Well, you might think that.
Well, that's what God says.
God might say that, but you know what? God was also said that my mother was that there was a reason why she died. And when I was 8 years old, that did not fly with me.
Can I say this to you?
And when I was 8 years old, a pastor, my mother's best friend was a pastor, and he told me that on her deathbed. This is God's will. You know what I said to God that day? I said, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Because that wasn't that. It wasn't God's will that my mother died.
Well, can I ask you this question?
She died of a melanoma cancer.
Okay.
That killed her. Okay.
Yeah.
So in my world, that's a very...
And that was painful.
I've had a lot of death and a lot of problems in my life, but you know what? That is nothing to do with God.
It's everything to do with Him. There's a reason why. I can tell you why.
Well, it can be, but most of that's science-based. In my mind, that's science-based.
Can I answer why?
Go ahead.
First, it hurt when your mother died. It hurt when all these friends have died you've loved. But it only gets to hurt and be meaningful if God is who He says He is. Because if the world is as you say it is, then what happened to your mother just happened. And you know that's not true.
No, that's not true.
And you know that's not true.
Do not tell me that...
No, you're not hearing me. You're not hearing me.
You're telling me that I hurt and that I grieve because there is a God. And that is not true.
And that's true, because your mom has value, your mom had dignity, your mom had worth, but in the worldview that you're now postulating, that our ancestors were fish.
Well, that's where
none of that's meaningful.
I know, but that's where we come from completely
Y'all
different.
having a real good conversation.
Good conversation, yeah. Can I buy you a drink or buy you a glass of water?
No, I'm good. I was actually getting ready to head back up to my room.
Should I get you anything else before we close?
I'll take a Bud Light if I could. Thank you.
So
I really appreciate your conversation.
Yeah.
But the only problem I have is I don't want someone to tell me that the way I feel or the way things are is because there is one Christian God. Okay?
Well, there is only one God. And whether you and I accept that truth or not, our feelings don't affect truth. And the thing I want to point out to you is that all of the things that you're bringing up of pain, that's real, by the way. But that pain you point to makes sense in my worldview, not in yours. Because again, if we are in the world you say, where we've evolved out of the primordial ooze...
Stop
But it's true.
Stop that. I know, but that was a long
Right.
time ago, okay?
And it means you're fundamentally that nature. And just because...
What's wrong with that nature?
What's wrong with that nature?
Yeah.
If there is no transcendent meaning with God as the reference point, then all you still have is stuff. That's it. It's stuff. And what's...
How's this stuff when it's living?
Here's the... It
feels
doesn't...
and it breathes.
Listen, you're talking about a nervous system.
Exactly.
A nervous system is not a standard of morality.
Thank you.
Nervous systems aren't standards of morality. You have to have something that exists outside the nervous system. You can't say it hurts, so therefore don't do it. That's not a standard of morality. That's just what happens to stuff in this godless universe.
That, to me, nervous systems have evolved from action-reaction. That's
Yeah.
how I believe we have a morality.
No, but
Okay?
where can I touch this?
I believe the morality has come from action-reaction, learning.
But you
Learning
don't
what
get
hurts,
action
learning-
and reaction.
action,
You already
reaction.
said you don't know what tomorrow will be like today.
No, neither
So
do
you don't get reaction and reaction. I do know. I do have a basis to believe that nature is uniform because I believe in the God who actually personally governs it, stepped into it, and told us about himself. And he tells us that he ordains the universe, sovereignly governs it, and he declares the end from the beginning. He upholds it. And so I have a basis for science, I have a basis for logic and reason, I have a basis for ethics. You want those things, and you said a moment ago, I do all these things. And the answer is yes, you do.
Yeah.
Because you're in the image of God. But you're in rebellion against him.
Yeah.
And the message of the gospel is that there is life and forgiveness as a gift because of what Jesus did, not because of what you could ever do.
However, let's say you take Jesus out of the situation,
Possible.
completely out.
It's impossible.
Let's say you do.
You can't because
Let's say
he's the
you do.
he's the necessary precondition.
But let's say you do.
But you couldn't.
But let's say you did.
All of your reasoning right
Let's
now
not-
presupposes him.
That's not true.
It does.
But then what happened?
So it
before,
is true.
What happened before Jesus? When
So
all my
it- so it is
ancestors
true.
had these same feelings. So before Jesus,
Because they were in the image of God. He made the world.
So then why can't you take Jesus out of it?
He made the world.
I know, but why can't you take Jesus out of it?
Because Jesus is the truth and the necessary foundation for everything you're
Okay,
doing.
so what happened a million years before him?
He's eternally God. He's always existed as God forever. He's the reference point of all
okay,
of our
okay,
questions.
so listen. So here's my thing.
Okay.
So let me take your Jesus and your God and put him as a way mankind and other things should look up to and live towards. Right? But let me take away that person completely. God and Jesus, let me take him away.
You want to, yes.
No, I don't want to. Let's just say he doesn't exist. Let's say that
It's-
we
it's-
fabricated
it's-
him.
all your
we
reasoning?
fabricated him because
All your reasoning?
because our mind,
Then it wouldn't matter.
us as
Yeah.
human beings,
Yeah.
the way we've evolved, are funneling towards this point, and that point has become, some great philosophers said, Jesus Christ and God. That's where we're going, brother.
My bride.
And that's the person, and this is what he's preached, and this is what he's done. By looking back at all this greatness that we've accomplished as human beings,
But you know
all
that's
this
not what,
love,
but you
all
realize
this
that's
care,
not what, you realize
and all
that's
this
not
other
that's actually not what's happened.
stuff. But listen, but I'm just saying, what if,
Yeah.
right? What if? What if in my mind I believe that you and I are on the same path? You're funneled a little bit harder towards an existence of Jesus and God.
Yeah.
My beliefs are, let's say, matched with you. Except
they're not.
Except I don't put a Jesus and a God with it. But let's say I agree on, let's say you and I walk up on a homeless person and we want to go do something. Let's say you come to my cancer equestrian program and you want to come work with cancer patients with me, with horses, to show them.
You're losing me.
I'm
trying to follow you.
I've lost you.
Yeah.
So I work.
You're going different directions, and I'm not.
I'm not going different.
Okay.
I don't know where you go with preaching. I don't know if it's just God and Jesus and everything else. I don't know.
Well, when you posit a hypothetical,
my faith
yeah.
is not a hypothetical. My faith,
You said it was a hypothetical.
I work with cancer patients, and I work with equestrians.
Okay.
I work with horses.
Yes.
And I work with programs that bring light. I reduce stress. I prolong life. And I help them realize you can take control of a life that's uncontrolled through an animal and do something with it. It's something totally different. I don't bring God into it. It is a
Yeah.
it is my own work that I do for the community.
No, I hear you. And so
I know you do work for the community.
But here's
But at the same time,
here's,
why can't my funneling of the goodness that I do?
there's no
and try to
goodness.
do-
There's no goodness.
There's no goodness in
No,
it.
there's-
If I don't believe in
You have
Jesus,
no standard of goodness, no, outside of yourself.
Okay.
You have no standard of goodness outside of yourself. All you have is a preference. And you're not in charge of the thief, the liar, the rapist, the adulterer. You're not in charge of them.
Either
And so,
you.
no, well, God is. And I'm not
God-
speaking. I'm not speaking
yeah.
from my own authority. I'm speaking from the authority. He is the ultimate authority.
Okay.
And
Or it
you're-
could be action reaction.
And your there is no action and reaction. You gave
Because
it up
you know what,
already.
the thief
Well,
that goes and
let me
fucks up,
answer.
fucked up.
Let me answer.
Right?
There's no fucking up in your worldview. There's just what happens. So what?
No, there is a
No, there's no such thing.
There
There's no
is.
standards.
There
There's
is
no
standards.
there's no.
If you go and betray
standard of
me,
mor-
then there's a standard
that's
that you
your
betray me.
own personal preference as a bag of biological stuff in a
Okay.
purposeless universe. And that doesn't control the thief, the liar, the adulterer, the murderer. All you have is you, one bag of biological stuff in a cosmically indifferent universe. And you have no standards of morality outside of yourself. You have preferences, but you're not in charge of the thief.
Why do I have no standards? Why do I have no standards of morality?
You have no objective standard outside of yourself. All you have is preference.
Why can't I look up to people and look up to mankind?
Because when you tell me in a universe where you evolved from scum that I feel like we should do this, that's not in charge of anybody. It's not a standard except your preference. And that's not a standard. That's a subjective personal preference. That's not an objective standard of good at all. And so what I could say to you every time you speak, when you bring up these standards of goodness, I could say this to you: so what? And there's no answer from your worldview. And here's my argument. That's life rejecting God. That's what you're left with. And so the message that I have for you is the same message that I needed. It's that God became man in the person of Christ to redeem rebels like you and me, to forgive us because we deserve hell. Because we rebel against him. And he came and died a death that we deserved, lived righteously, and rose from the dead. So that
I do a lot of good, brother, and you really offend me, though.
If you
when
turn
you say
from sin
that
to trust in him, you'll be
You really
forgiven.
offend me, though, that I am...
Why are you
saying,
offended?
Because you're saying that
Your ancestors were fish. I'm stardust.
I know, but-
You're stardust.
But I don't care where I came from. I am who I am right now.
But there's no value to either of
It's
us.
same thing. It's same thing for the thief, right? Who becomes good, right?
There's no good.
So let's say you have someone that thieves or rapes
So
as a
what?
child, right?
So what?
And let's say he takes in God in your world and he goes and does good. Is he now just scum because he was once a thief?
No, he's an image bearer. Now we're in my worldview.
Yeah.
That's an image bearer of God who violated his creator standards.
Okay.
God saved him. He was redeemed and forgiven, and God paid for his sins.
Okay.
Now, if in your worldview
Okay.
it was stardust moving on the surface of the cosmos, so what?
So do you see the difference there?
I do between
I know,
your
but,
position
but,
and
but
God.
do you see the difference that when I'm not a thief, I'm not a rapist, I do a ton for my community, I donate money, I work, I give fish to I feed my local church with fish.
Can
I do all
take-
sorts of
tell you
stuff.
something?
But listen,
Can I
why
get- yeah.
why am I scum because I come
didn't say
from
you're
a
scum.
fish?
No.
You were
That's
saying that
your
my
view. That's your view.
You were saying that I am nobody
I don't believe
because
that.
I don't
believe that.
believe in this being.
No, I don't believe that.
So I'm wondering why I'm not accepted.
Ready?
I'm wondering why
I'm
I'm
answering.
not accepted.
I'm answering.
Okay.
I don't believe that about you. I do not believe that about
That's
you.
your inner debate.
That's your position. I'm telling you what happens in your worldview, believing that.